You, who live safe in your warm houses. You, who find on returning in the evening hot food and friendly faces. Consider if this is a man who works in the mud, who does not know peace, who fights for a scrap of bread, who dies because of a yes or a no. Consider if this is a woman without hair and without name, with no more strength to remember. Her eyes are empty, and her womb is cold, like a frog in the winter. Meditate that this came about. I commend these words to you. Carve them in your hearts, at home, in the street, going to bed, rising. Repeat them to your children. Or may your house fall apart. May illness impede you. May your children turn their faces from you.
Words from Primo Levi's If This Is a Man, read by Samantha Spiro, to mark Holocaust Memorial Day 2023. I'm Emily Maitlis, and it's my pleasure to introduce this film from Opera Holland Park. Since 2021, the company has produced an annual memorial in words and music, with a focus on a generation of Czech musicians who were interned in Terezin, where they continued to compose and perform until they, like Primo Levi, were deported to Auschwitz. We'll hear two songs from Opera Holland Park's Elizabeth Karani and Lada Valisova, and a poem by Michael Flach, read by Oliver Cotton. Written in Terezin, these songs are tender lullabies, sung in Yiddish and Hebrew, but they're also powerful protest songs. Here is Victor Ullmann's Beyoskele, one of a set of 3 Yiddish songs he composed in 1944.
Schokelde
Victor Ullmann's Beyozkele, written in 1944 in Terezin, just months before Ullmann was deported to Auschwitz and murdered in the gas chambers. An extraordinary aspect of life in Terezin was the volume of music written and performed in the camp. Ullmann and his fellow composers, Gideon Klein, Pavel Haas, Ilse Weber and Hans Krasser, continued to make music while imprisoned there, along with many other Jewish musicians. There were performances by choirs and chamber orchestras, even operas, despite conditions of acute privation, overcrowding, hunger and disease. Michael Flach, a young intern in the camp, wrote this poem on a recital of Beethoven sonatas by the pianist and composer Gideon Klein.
White fingers of the sexton sleep heavy upon us. Half a century since anyone as much as touched this piano. Let it sing again, as it was made to yesterday. Phantom hands that strike softly or that thunder, the forehead of this man heavy as the heavens before it rains. And the springs, under the weight of excitement, forgot to speak. Half a century it is since anyone as much as touched this piano. Our good friend Time sucked each figure empty like a honeybee that has lived long enough and drunk enough honey so that now it can dry out in the sun somewhere. Under the closed eyes, another person sits. Under the closed eyes, he seeks among the keys, as among the veins through which the blood flows softly when you kiss them with a knife and put a song to it. And this man, yesterday, cut all the veins, opening all the organ stops, paid all the birds to sing. Even though the harsh fingers of the sexton sleep heavy upon us. Bent in his manner of death, you are like Beethoven. Your forehead was as heavy as the heavens before it rains.
Michael Flach's Concert in the Old School Garret, read by Oliver Cotton. Born in 1919, Gideon Klein was among the youngest of the Terezin composers and was the leading light of a new generation of Czech musicians before Czechoslovakia was invaded. In October 1944, he was deported to Auschwitz and died in January 1945 in the forced labour camp Fürstengrube. Written in Terezin in 1943, Klein's Hebrew lullaby, Shechav Beni, is an arrangement of a Hasidic melody from Ukraine with words by Emmanuel Harusi. Here are Elizabeth Karani and Lada Valisova to perform it in memory of Gideon Klein and all those who perished in the Holocaust.
Oh
If you'd like to donate to the Holocaust Memorial Day Trust and support their work in education, please visit hmd.org.uk.